What's good, party people? This is According to Woods, and I have the honor and privilege of having a man who steps right back into the boxing ring in Alabama on November 14th. He is the one and only Alan Shenzi Eagle Melson. Alan, what's going on, my man?
What's up? What's up?
Not much, dude. Glad to have you on. It's crazy because, I mean, we were kind of talking off air. You, in era and a year, essentially, where people can't are having trouble finding one fight, you have the kind of crazy distinction that you've had three fights and won them all in 2020. That's pretty cool.
Yes, sir. That was actually the plan. 2020, like I said back in 2019, 2020 was going to be my rise. It was going to be my rise year, and I have actually accomplished most of my goals. Not all of my goals, but I've actually accomplished most of my goals this year, as far as the winning side. Um, this next fight on November 14th, I am going to win that one too. I plan on getting my second KO. Um, I might fight in December, back in Alabama again. Yeah, I'm getting very blessed to actually fight this year more than a lot of people. And with these fights, I'm building up my record. So next year, the plan for next year is to fight for a title fight, hopefully. But yeah, this year was my rise year to actually show that I am a fighter and that I started 0-3, and them three losses really didn't mean anything because you can ask the opponents. I gave them hell in the ring, and they can vouch for that. So that's
I
what this
love
year
it.
was based on.
No, I absolutely love it. Now, I mean, so theoretically speaking, I mean, not to look too far ahead, but you know, if things go your way on November 14th and you run it back and essentially get into fighting in December, literally like a month after your last fight, would the plan be like you possibly taking a regional title fight, come the beginning of the year?
Yes, sir. My plan is to fight. Me and the sponsor, me and the promoter, we talked about it, and the plan is to fight for a title fight in February. But if it doesn't go that way, then we can hold off to the middle of the year, which I don't mind. I'd rather actually get in tip top shape for a title fight instead of being halfway shape. Because when it comes to title fights, that's a 6 rounder or an 8th rounder, and if you have to go the whole distance, you got to be in shape because you want to be tired going into the 5th round or going to the 6th round and you lose. Because I have seen that happen. I have seen people get into the 5th round or 6th round or 8th round and they're winded. They can't go no more, and they won the whole fight into that last round. So that's the plan.
No, 100%, 100%. And the Jose Galindo says, "Let's go, champ."
Thank you,
100%.
Jose.
There you go. Now, obviously, you scored your first KO. I mean, it didn't seem that long ago, a few months back. And then you're getting this fight. Now, is it with the same promotion or like what were not to get too into the inside of the dealings or whatever, but did you know soon after your knockout victory in your last fight that you would be fighting again?
Yes, sir. I knew. We talked about it, and they always keep me heads up and keep me posted on whenever they're going to have another card. So she told me, "Hey, we plan on fighting again in November." So I was okay, bet. I already had somebody plan who I want to fight, which was the guy who I knocked out. Is his partner. Is one of his people out of his camps, and that's why I'm dropping down to cruiserweight. Which I've been wanting to drop down to cruiserweight because I feel more comfortable in cruiserweight. I know if I'm at cruiserweight, I can move the way I want to move, and I know that I have my power is stronger than most cruiserweights, and I can take their punches.
No, that makes absolute sense because I mean when you're going into heavyweight, just to kind of put it into perspective, right? You're I mean, Tyson Fury is a heavyweight, right? I mean, Mike Tyson was a heavyweight, but I mean, as long as you can fill, 210 and up, it doesn't matter how long, how tall, how big, whatever, and that kind of size range is like what, like 210, all the way to like 265, 270, something like that.
Anything above 201 is heavyweight.
Yeah, it's scary. So scary. So scary. And in terms of the style, right? You're talking about being able to, move freely and what have you. And what most people don't kind of realize is, again, you can't move as free. You kind of have to be, small and compact, because any one hit, you can get knocked out in a jab at heavyweight. You could, like, it's just you slip and move the wrong way, and it could be dire situation.
Yeah, because my first match, we weighed together. We weighed about I think 400, about 400 pounds together, or somewhere around there. Because he was 313. No, we weighed 500 pounds together. He was 313 and I was 213.
That's some Yokozuna rate. That's almost like Rikichi and whatever, like that's nuts. Now, in terms of you're fighting back in Alabama, like you're kind of born and bred in Alabama, now residing in Houston, but I mean now you're going back home for the second time in a row. That's got to feel cool.
Yeah, I love going back home. But the thing about it, crowd wise, they're trying to get there. I know it takes time, but they're trying to get there, and I don't sweat it because I'm making fans. Like, I have a lot of fans down there now, and that I love, because that was my point of actually going back to Alabama, is so my people could see the success that I'm doing and that I'm accomplishing, and so I can gain my hometown, my home state fans. So whenever it comes time for me actually to fight a title, I can fill up the arena, or wherever we're at, I can fill it up with nothing but my hometown fans. So that was the plan when I first started fighting back in 2018. When I first started my professional career, my plan was to fight back in Alabama, and I talked to the matchmaker, was actually part of this card, and they made it happen.
That's awesome. Now, for those who don't know the scene, between Houston and Alabama, like, what does the boxing scene look like? Are there promotions running? I mean, obviously, things were different pre-COVID, 100%. But I mean, was there a thriving boxing scene where you could be like, I want to fight in this state, or what have you?
It's kind of different down here. Texas is bigger than Alabama, and you have many cards in different cities in Texas. Houston, they have about 4 or 5 They have about 4 or 5 cars down here, and 4 or 5 promoters down here, and they probably have more than that. And I know it starts up next month, and that's a great sign right there that they opening up Texas, because I know Texas is one of the most active professional boxing areas besides California and Las Vegas and all that. Texas is one of the ones. And as far as fighting down here, it was kind of hard because, like I said, I was 0-3. But now, since I'm having that winning record, I might get little offers here and there once they actually start opening up more fight cards down here. And it is different, because you'll see more celebrities down here than you will in Alabama. So that's the difference. the money making is the difference.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, it's funny because Joe Rogan just recently moved from California to Texas a couple months back. And it's crazy. It seems like that's kind of the thing where people are going to leave other states and then kind of come to Texas and kind of find their way. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah, because it's Texas is a big state, so you can go, you can be living in Dallas and drive 4 hours down here to Houston, and you get a connection, meet more people. Then you can drive 2 hours from Houston to Austin, or drive 3 hours to San Antonio, and that's why I say it's good that they actually opened up boxing, sport of boxing again, as far as Texas, because Dallas, San Antonio, Austin, and Houston are where they have their fights at, and sometime in El Paso and Laredo and stuff like that. And the reason why they are opening it up, because at the end of this month, the Gavante and Santa Cruz, they fight in San Antonio. Yeah, they fight in San Antonio. So that's why they actually opening boxing back up in Texas, because of that fight.
Wow, that's a game changer.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, was that the plan? Leaving Alabama for Texas, was that in the cards? Did you have that in the back of your mind that I want to make this like my base and hopefully get some fights here and then kind of call myself into the big time?
Actually, that wasn't the plan. I moved to Texas when I was 14. And at that time, I was playing sport. I was playing football, basketball, and all that. I started back boxing in 2013. I was playing semi-pro football, and I got tired of football a little bit. So I said, you know what? I like fighting. I'll just go back to boxing. And started back boxing, and had a little ups and downs. And 2018, I got the call. And when I got that call, I was like, you know what? Well, in 2017, I made a promise. I said, I'm gonna turn pro next year. I said, by this time, I will be pro next year. And I got that call, and I accepted it. And once I accepted it, I said, you know what? I want to actually fight at home. And after I fight at home, and I gain my crowd, once I get to that elite level, I want to take it back home again and fight for a bigger title, so I can be the first one in my city to actually bring a big sport to the city, because my city is very small. It's very small. It's one of those country towns, so it's where everybody knows everybody. So that's the plan, and I know it's gonna happen. It's gonna take time, but I know it's gonna happen.
I mean, that would be cool to kind of headline a card, in your hometown, and especially if the cards align, pardon the pun, but to potentially be for a title fight.
Yeah.
Now, Jose Galindo says Texas boxing is where it's at. There you go. So, in terms of like the training, right? Like, what is it about Texas that makes it like the go-to the boxing circles?
I say, and what I'm starting to realize this year is everybody comes to Texas to spar. Like, we have Jared Allen. I mean, not Jared Allen, but Jared Anderson. He comes down here to spar. Shakur Stevens comes down here to spar. Josh Greer comes down here to spar. Earl Spence comes down here to spar. The Charlie brothers, they live here. Lara, he lives here. Reese, Lara, he lives here. Everybody comes to Houston to spar and get the work. And majority of the best boxers as far as amateur are in Texas. Like Houston has, I think the top amateur fighters in the USA. Like I researched that, and Houston has most of the top fighters from the USA on the USA team. And I spar with one of the top fighters. His name is Josh, and he's ranked number 6. He's ranked number 3 as heavyweight on the USA team. So if you actually want to get the good work, Texas is actually where it's at, because you can go to, like I said, you go to Dallas, and you have Earl Spence up there, you have Mikey Garcia up there, you have some more fighters up there in Dallas. You have the Ringo brothers, Rico. I forgot how to say their last name, but they live in Carrollton. You have them up there in Dallas. Then in San Antonio, you have Mario Barros. You have him in San Antonio, and you have Santa Cruz. You have a whole bunch of great fighters in Texas. So that's why Texas is one of the spots to be at as far as boxing. Oh no, yeah, you have O'Foster down here. You have Regis Pro Ray down here. Now you can go on.
Yeah, the proof is in the pudding, you know. Now, in terms of, obviously, it's kind of crazy this year and how it's been, but you were able to kind of accomplish your goal, right? Of fighting at least 3 times, and this fight in Alabama, that pretty much puts it all in the cards of how you wanted to do it. Now, was there a point where you're like, dang, you know what? I might not accomplish what I set out to do in 2019 and 2020. Was that kind of a lingering thought in your mind, or did you always know, like, hey, like I got my eyes on the prize and this is what I want to do?
When I lost my last fight in November of last year, which I shouldn't have lost, I'll be honest with you, I gave up because I was out of shape. Well, I wasn't out of shape. I got tired because I was too anxious. And once I lost that fight, my mind was made up, next year I really have to change it. Because at that time I was 0-3. And when you, like I told you before we got live, when you start losing, they can suspend you indefinitely. And I wasn't trying to do that. Once I was 0-3, when I became 0-3, I was like, if I really want boxing, I have to prove that I really want boxing. I have to prove that I want boxing to be my career and my job. I have to prove that I actually want to make something out of boxing. So I went into that first fight determined, because we both was 0-3. He was 0-3 and I was 0-3. So neither one of us had a win. So I was very determined. I was actually determined to knock him out. I kind of got cheated on the knockout, but I didn't. I was still determined to beat him because I didn't want to hang up the gloves. And when I got ready for that second fight, it was the same thing. I have something to prove, and until I prove it, I can't give up, and I will not give up. That's why I plan on fighting the best. That's why I love sparring the best down here in Texas, because they get me ready for the fight. If it's a dog fight, they're getting me ready for a dog fight. If it's a slow fight, they still get me ready for a dog fight. And that's what I love about Houston, because you can run into different type of style fighters. And that never crossed my mind to lose. After I lost those three fights, that never crossed my mind to lose again. And it's not. I don't plan on losing at all. Like my mindset is set that around next year, around this time, I'll be 10-3.
That's awesome. I mean, again, I am a firm believer of one of my favorite kind of sayings is, shoot for the moon, even if you fall short, you land among the stars, and most people around will kind of say, maybe that's not possible. Come here, kid. We'll try something else. Kind of, you know, uh, kind of divert your attention and motivation the other way. But it's the people who kind of break through, in all facets, whether it be in sport, whether it be in business, technology, and whatever. It's people that could see outside of the box and outside of the confines, and have this kind of earnest kind of motivation and goal to go to, and there's nothing stopping in their way.
And that's how I've been since I was little. Since I've been in sports, my mind is out. When I have it set on something, I shoot for it. I don't like losing. I hate losing. But I learned from all my losses, and I learned how to stay humble too with all my losses. Because I've seen a lot of great fighters lose, and they never lose, and they be like, man, they get down. With that loss should actually teach you to strive and to be more hungrier than you was before you lost. And it should humble you. And that's why I like I hate that I had 3 losses, but I love that I had 3 losses because with those 3 losses, I proved to a lot of people, hey, because I was 0-3, don't mean that I'm just gonna hang it up and just say, "Oh, forget it. I'm not gonna win no more." No, it's about having heart and being determined. And last count and this count, it's kind of hard because I work night shift, but I still push because, like I said, boxing is something that I actually want to be my career, and that's what I try to prove to a lot of people. Because I've seen a lot of fighters actually do it. Deontay Wilder, he done it. And he was undefeated until he fought Tyson Fury.
Why not? Why not? Right? I mean, if that's the top, the tippy top of the food chain, why not? Right? Why not want to test your metal? But it's kind of crazy to think, right? Now you like, hey, I want to fight Tyson Fury before it's all said and done. But 3 consecutive losses at the beginning of your pro career, right? And you were thinking, going into a fight with somebody that had the equal record, an 0-3 record, and the lingering thought, like, what if I go 0-4 and lose this fight? And thinking about hanging it up, right? What thought process, was going through your mind when all of that was happening?
Honestly, when I was getting ready for that fight, all I could think of is when I was playing football. When I was playing football and I got ready for the games, my mindset was totally different. Like I tried to channel my mind to the way Mike Tyson think. And he really don't give a damn about when he's in the ring. He don't give a damn about nobody. He just care about winning. And that's what I channel my mind to. And that's what I have been doing is channel my mind to just win. Don't worry about if you get hit. Shoot to win. And I ain't gonna say shoot to hurt the person, but don't get hurt because you know that person is trying to hurt you. That's what boxing is about. It's a brutal sport. Sad to say, it's a brutal sport. You in there to basically hurt the person. It's kind of sportsmanship out there, but doing the rounds, you really end up to actually hurt that person and not get hurt. So my mind was set to hurt the next person. Sad to say, my mind was set to hurt the next person and not get hurt because I want to win. But like you see, the last fight, when I knocked the dude out, I still went over there to see if he was all right, because at the end of the day, we all have a family to go to, and we all should walk out that ring okay, and not walk out that ring crippled, because we have seen in these past years a lot of fighters have died in the ring. But my mind was set to actually win. I didn't want to hang up the gloves. I still don't, because I'm gonna be honest with you. Going into this year, it was more of a, I have to prove something to a lot of people down here in Houston. So that's what actually pushed me to win more, was because I was trying. I didn't say trying. I was proving something to a lot of people in Houston, because a lot of people didn't believe, oh, he can fight. And still, I think a lot of people believe that I can't fight. I think a lot of people believe that I can't box, but they will see. Sooner or later, they'll find out. I just cruise on through, keep winning until that time comes.
Until that time comes. And I mean, November 14th, that's not a lot. I mean, that's not too far away, right? And but obviously going from fight camp to fight camp, right? You had, a throng of supporters between then and now and throughout your entire career, spanning from football and then now boxing, right? So as always, let's get some acknowledgments and shout outs out of the way, because it takes a village to raise you. So let, who's helped you along the way?
I want to shout out to my first sponsor. His name is David Asp. I used to work at a container place, and he's an ABC tire guy. He owns his own business, and they fix the tires for trucks. He was the first sponsor that I had, and he's been with me from day one. Like he helped me with a lot of things, and that's why I like to shout him out first, because he's been there, and he's gonna always be there. And I want to shout out to Christine in the ring. She's over there in Spain right now. I'm pretty sure she's probably busy. She's with the USA boxing team, and she's been with me from the beginning too. So I want to shout her out. Then I want to shout out Von Juan. He's one of my sponsors. He's a pastor and Christian hip hop artist down here in Houston. I want to shout out Anthony. I want to shout out Anthony McLean. He's over there in Germany. He's one of my sponsors. Um, he's actually he's in the army, and he'll be back next month. He'll be back in the States next month. I want to shout out Dante Starnes, him and his uncle. They're from my city. They're from Alabama, and they're one of my sponsors. I want to shout out Tina and Sean Trimble. They're one of my sponsors. Which is Homicide Inc., which is a tattoo shop in my hometown in Alabama. Who else am I missing? I want to shout. I'm trying to think who else I'm missing. I'm trying to think.
Your wife. Your wife. Your wife.
Oh yeah, I always want to shout out my wife. Yeah, it's always hard times in the camps, because don't really get to spend time with them, and I really don't get much time to actually help her, because he's not a newborn, he's going on 5 months now. I really don't get time to help her with the kids. I really don't be able to have time at home. So I want to definitely shout her out, because being a spouse with a professional athlete is kind of hard. Well, I ain't gonna say kind of hard. I know it's hard, because with me, I'm still a journeyman, and I have to work, then I have to train, then I have that little bit of time during the weekday to try to help. The only time they have with me is really the weekend, barely. But whoever else I'm missing, I want to shout y'all out. I want to shout out my coach, Renee, because he took me in. when I needed another gym to go to. He took me in and he changed the whole plan, and we've been winning since I lost my first match with him. So I want to shout him out definitely. Again, if I'm missing somebody else, I want to give all my sponsors a shout out, and I want to tell y'all November 14th. I will win. That will be win number 3 and knockout number 2, and we're going up for there. Just believe that. So, and I want to shout out you, Adam, because you always give me that opportunity. You always give me that opportunity to actually go live and have this interview before the fight and after the fight, and I thank you for that.
Dude, the pleasure's all mine, my man.
Oh yeah, and Everett, because Everett actually got me to you, so I want to shout out Everett for that too.
Shout out to the main man with the plan, Alabama's own Everett Osmer. That's the real MVP. But dude, it's always a pleasure, and I look forward to talking to you after November 14th. And I mean, obviously, for this time only, right? For a limited time only, you're still accepting sponsors going into November 14th, but they have to act now and act fast. So for sponsorship and for people that want to fly high with the Shenzi Eagle, Alan Melson, working on social media, my man.
Look at you can find me on Instagram at Shenzi Eagle 22. You can find me on Facebook at Alan Melson. And if you have a Snapchat, you can find me on Snapchat at Melson 22. If anybody would like to be my sponsors, hit me up, let me know, DM me, message me, and I'll send you my sponsor package. It's not that much. It's pretty cheap. And I want to give Brandy a shout out too. Brandy is the promoter for this card. Her and Blake. I want to give them a shout out for giving me the opportunity to actually fight this year 3 times, maybe 4 times in December. Maybe. I don't know yet. Because around that time is my wife's birthday, anniversary, and my birthday. So I don't know yet. I would think about that one.
Yeah, and I mean, there was just like a holiday, somebody jumps down the chute or of some sort with a bag of something or other, and I mean, all I know is eggnog. Well, hell with everything else. All I know is eggnog happens. I mean, it's going to be hell to pay if somebody tries to make me cut weight and not drink eggnog, because there's only one time of the year you can get it, like 2.5 month stretch. And I mean, I'm all the time. So the hell I'm doing anything physical come December. So I mean, a shout out to you, whichever way the pendulum swings. That you're thinking about it, man. But always an honor, always a pleasure. Good skill. I mean, literally keeping good skill for you as you head into the ring, November 14th. In Alabama. But this has been a Corner of the Woods with the Shenzi Eagle, Alan Melson. And if you haven't already done so, here's something.
Hey, this is Ada. Make sure you subscribe to According